This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Some places have leaked out their Defensive Player of the Year voting, and it seems like Evan Mobley might have a good chance to get it. To talk about this, I'm bringing on COLB, you know, from Q and COLB and everything else that he does, also on Twitter. COLB, man, what do you think about Evan Mobley being Defensive Player of the Year? Does it feel right to you?
Listen. I'm here to push the agenda. He should have always been the Defensive Player of the Year. This is my thing. And I've seen some people on Twitter because, you know, the ballots leaked. Some of the ballots leaked, at least. Mm-hmm. I think I saw 6 ballots. He got 4 first place votes and 2 second place votes. So the ballots leaked. And the media members finally coming around to where they should have been in the first place. Mm. The Cavs been the #1 defense in the league all year.
Yep.
He's the best defensive player on the best defense in the league. My issue is, like, why did they wait until, like, 95% of the season to be over before they seriously started talking about him being the Defensive Player of the Year? That's my only issue. Like, they waited until the very end, and that's why fans are upset now. Because they're like, wait, like, you guys were saying Jaren Jackson Jr. was going to win all year. You guys were saying, like, Brook Lopez is going to win all year. And now the end of the season comes, and now they vote for Evan. So I blame the media personally, because if they would have been louder about what Evan was doing the entire year, because we've seen it the entire season. Like, he's been phenomenal defensively the entire year. No shade to Jarrett Allen, who's also great defensively, but Evan's just been doing different shit. Like, doing crazy shit.
That's one of the parts of the conversation that we have to hit, because there's people who don't watch the Cavs a lot, and they're like, or maybe they do and they don't know what they're watching, and they go, well, isn't Jarrett Allen the better defender of the two? No. Like, Jarrett Allen is the better interior defender, right? Like, Absolutely. When it comes to blocking shots and stuff like that, like, yes, he's a little bit better than Evan, just a little bit. Evan's still very, very good, and he's more capable of doing more wow stuff around the rim, which I just can't forget that one block he got in Miami where he just kind of, like, came around, took the ball, and it was like, what happened? I don't know, but the Cavs are on the fast break already. Like, it was just like, or it was like somebody did a reverse, and then he went with the other hand. Like, I've only seen LeBron attempt to do this, but he went with the other hand and it blocked it with his off hand while the dude was in midair trying to hit the reverse. He's done some crazy stuff around.
Since you're talking about that Miami game, the game they won, when they played them twice in the same week, they played the first game. The game they won, it was at the end of the game. Jimmy had the ball. He tried to shoot a floater, and Evan blocked it. And the look on Jimmy's face was like, what the fuck? he did not think for 1 second he was gonna be able to get that. Like, he shot that floater like he ain't gonna be able to jump that high. And Evan swatted it. Yeah. And he was just sitting there looking like what did he just do, bro? And that's like a microcosm of the kind of defender he is. Like, if you don't watch the Cavs, I've watched every Cavs game. Like, if you don't watch them consistently, you don't know what he's doing. Jarrett Allen even said it. He was like, Evan's help defense is why we're the best defense, like, why we're the best defensive team in the league. They have Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell starting. Yeah. 2 small guards. And they are the #1. And Isaac Okoro also starts. And he's a good defender, but he's 6'5". You know what I'm saying? They're starting 3 players.
For Evan Mobley to be basically your backup center and also your best wing defender is crazy.
It's crazy.
Not only is he your best wing defender, he's one of the best in the league. And the only thing I've seen really hold him back is that he's just not super heavy yet, right? Like, that's the only game where I'm like, oh yeah, this is a problem for him. Is like what Joel Embiid gave him buckets one time, and that's because Joel Embiid got like 60 pounds on him and could just move him. But, like, if that wasn't the case, like,
he got more than 60 pounds on, and
he got a lot.
So hard, man. He was trying so hard. It was not working.
Yeah, that's why I worry about Av too. Where, if he gets into Milwaukee, a series with Milwaukee, he got that defensive player of the year, and Giannis feels like there's something to prove there on his side of the ball about it. Ooh, he gonna have a welcome to the NBA moment in year 2. That's gonna be a different Giannis that you're playing up against. But let's go over to other candidates because Brook Lopez is in there, and I get the argument for Brook Lopez because the numbers are great around him. I was listening to Rasulo and Simmons talk, and they were saying the thing that they can't get over is that he's clearly the third best defender on his own team, and
which is valid.
That's very fair. Like
that's a valid reason to not vote for him, bro. Like you play with Giannis, who to me is one of the 2 best help defenders in the league. It's probably him and Evan are the 2 best help defenders.
Like when he's on, Giannis is the best. It's one of those things. It's like LeBron can't get the MVP every year, but we know if LeBron needs it needs a game in his prime. He's the best player in the NBA. Nobody's going to stop anything with him. That's kind of the feeling with Giannis. Is like Giannis don't need to play that hard on defense every game, but you knew if Giannis, like, if he really wanted to win Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis could put together a season where he could win it. But I don't think
he already won it.
Yeah, he already won it a couple times, so there's really no need.
He shouldn't have won it. Anthony Davis should have won it that year. We're not gonna get into that. But
why? I got another question for you because we come up with all these different comps for Evan Mobley. The one comp I've been saying I don't think enough people have gotten on because everybody goes to KG or they go to Tim Duncan. I think he's Anthony Davis. Like he's very similar to Anthony Davis to me. Because he's athletic around the perimeter. He has a streaky jump shot. When it's hitting, it's hitting. When it's not, it's not. He doesn't have the injury history that Anthony Davis have. But if you look at like a lot of young Anthony Davis stuff, it's pretty similar to what Evan was doing. Block shots, not fouling, defensive prowess. Like these were both, I think, the 2 best defensive prospects that's come out the draft in the last 20 years was Anthony Davis and him. But like people avoid that comp. And also Anthony Davis, we forget. Remember how skinny that dude was coming out of Kentucky? And like he's not skinny anymore, right? Like that's what you hope his body kind of like builds into. Now I think Anthony Davis 6'9", had a little bit better ball skills than Evan Mobley because he was a little shorter. He grew up small too as a point guard, so he was able to develop him. But Evan Mobley has pretty decent ball skills for somebody who's 7 foot tall. I think I see that as more similar in comparison to him than like KG or Tim Duncan. Granted, I saw more of Anthony Davis's career than I saw like KG's career. But to me, that feels a lot more similar to me because when I remember KG, I'm like, yo, KG had like a smooth, consistent jumper. I don't know if Evan's going to ever have that smooth, consistent jumper. It looks good every time he shoots it, but it just don't be falling consistently enough to where I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's going to get there one day.
My thing about the comparisons, I get what people's like. I get the KG stuff. I don't think Evan is the athlete that KG was, especially like younger KG. Like he not that explosive of an athlete at all.
Or Giannis, like because
Yeah,
I hear
he's
people
not
try to
that.
throw that out. Those two are different, like twitch athletes, like
Yeah.
bursty guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he not that. And I even think like young AD before the injuries was that kind of athlete too. Like before all the injuries and everything like that. Like the way AD used to move, bro. Like bigs ain't supposed to move like that. Like
Well, the thing with Evan is like he's not the most twitchy or like super high bounce dude. But his body control is incredible, right? Like that's where he has it over. And I think that's where some people get the Tim Duncan from is the body control. Cause Tim was never like the super graceful. Well, he was graceful, but he was never the super twitchy athlete. He was very controlled with his body. That's why he was like able to out rebound everybody, able to just get in the position. And Evan has that body control where he's not jumping higher than anybody, but he's just so in control. He can make these wild plays. And it's like, oh, wow, that makes him special. So it's like a combination of things that make Evan Mobley. But I think I think Bill Simmons has had a lot to like narrate where this conversation is going because he's been on the Evan Mobley train since year one, right? Like him, he gets on these trains and then like it kind of dictates where the conversation goes. You see the same thing happen with Luka because he was like the main guy on Luka very early on in that process, and it kind of dictates where the conversation went, and he immediately went to KG and Mobley. I mean, KG, Mobley, Tim Duncan personality he reminds him of. And I think it's like There's some KG in there. I think there's like when it comes to his positionless ability to switch and play on the perimeter and defensively do all that. And some of the jumper stuff, the elbow jumper stuff does kind of feel like KG a little bit. But I think it's closer to like a combination of different skills that exist. And if we lean into KG, I think that's how people go from that to, oh, it could be Giannis. And they're comparing him to Giannis. And it's like, maybe somebody more contemporary is a better example for him. Not saying it's a one-to-one match, but I do see similarities in their game that I think could translate to success going forward. And, you know, AD, his second best year, because bubble year was crazy. His second best year was when he was running with another big, and what people would never realize, prime DeMarcus Cousins. Like, we forget how good prime DeMarcus Cousins was.
Hey, bro, arguably the best in his prime, best big in the league. Arguably, offensively, definitely was. People,
I feel like in 10 years we'll struggle to explain this, but remember when the Warriors signed DeMarcus Cousins, and that's when we decided it was too much? Like, they already had Kevin Durant, and then they signed DeMarcus Cousins, and that's when we were like, all right, this is enough. Like, DeMarcus Cousins was enough to put it over. And that was after an Achilles injury. We just didn't know he was cooked yet. Like, that was, people don't understand, man. DeMarcus Cousins was a beast back in the day.
Hey, Sacramento Boogie. Woo. Sacramento Boogie was a monster.
Pelicans pre-injury Boogie. Woo.
That was a monster too.
That was a crazy 2 months. That was a crazy 2 months in New Orleans. Man, Boogie in the brow. You know what I mean?
Him and AD was doing crazy shit.
Crazy stuff. It's similar to like some of the stuff that like Evan and Jared are able to do, but clearly at a higher level, because like Jared or Evan, they're not at that point to where AD and DeMarcus Cousins were in their career. Especially offensively. Like DeMarcus Cousins was a whole different thing offensively than anything the Cavs have. Yeah.
Unguardable. Literally unguardable.
But that's one of the players I think is going to become like one of the interesting footnotes in NBA history, because like he just didn't stay around long enough. It's like the Roy Hibberts of the world. Remember, like Roy Hibbert was the best center in the NBA for like 2 years?
Hey, Roy Hibbert was never the best center in the
NBA. Billy was saying that. He's the best big. He's a traditional big. All Roy Hibbert did was this. This all Roy Hibbert did.
Verticality, baby. Verticality.
Sometimes he jumped, but he did this, and it worked against LeBron for 2 games, and everybody lost their mind about Roy Hibbert. Everybody lost. If you want to know what Roy Hibbert played like, next time Boban get on the court, just imagine a less athletic version of that, and you got Roy Hibbert.
Hey, bro, Roy Hibbert made the All-Star team 2 years. 2 years, they played Miami in the playoffs. He made the All-Star team both them years.
Hey,
he was out the league 2 years later.
LeBron was such a great facilitator in making his teammates better. Sometimes he even elevated his enemies. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good LeBron was.
Hey, Roy used to eat against the Miami teams in the playoffs. It was crazy to watch, bro.
Yeah, it would be insane because, like, we look at it like he can't move. If you just switch him out to he would not survive in today's game, but in the 90s, he might have been a beast. Like, who knows? But it's one of those things. So, do you think Evan actually gets Defensive Player of the Year? Do you think that's what he gets it?
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna get it. I don't think he's gonna get it because I don't think enough of the media members are gonna switch up. But maybe he will, because I seen somebody vote for Draymond Green this year.
Yeah.
And Draymond, no disrespect.
That's a key. Like what I've seen is he might get it because there is a reason to have a consensus around him where there's no consensus Defensive Player of the Year, right? So you can look at his stats and go, okay, best defensive player on the best defensive team, then he should get the award. And I think a lot of people are going to look at that because a lot of the ballots are like Jaren Jackson, Brook Lopez here, and then Draymond Green, or some people even throwing Drew Holiday in there. Like, it's such a like people are throwing so many names into the box when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year that if a small consensus forms, that might be enough to win it, because I think the voting is going to be super split. Because I don't think a lot, I think there's more people that have consensus going with Evan Mobley, and then the thing that's holding Jaren Jackson back is his minutes. People are going to push back on that with like, well, he didn't get enough minutes. It'd be the second lowest minutes since Rudy Gobert won it in 2018. And honestly, they trying to forget about anything that they gave to Rudy Gobert over the last couple of years.
Don't make the same. I'm not. Let me stop, because Jaren Jackson Jr. is a way better defensive player than Rudy Gobert has ever been.
Just even if he wasn't, we're not gonna do Jaren Jackson like that. He has done nothing to nobody to compare him to Rudy Gobert. All right, like that's just
miles better defensively than Rudy Gobert. Miles, just completely different stratosphere. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Rudy is nobody respects him.
Like, nobody respects Rudy. Nobody. His teammates. Nobody in
the league respects him. You know what I mean?
We stand with Kyle Anderson, bro. We stand with Kyle Anderson. He was right. I don't care what nobody says.
I would love to know what Donovan Mitchell thought in that moment. When he saw that clip, I would love to know what Donovan Mitchell thought. Like, something tells me he gave it up. Let's go. You know what I mean?
D'Angelo Russell too. I know D'Angelo Russell was like, "Nah, y'all see what I've been saying. Y'all see what I've been saying."
Boy was playing with that COVID, and he got me in my mama's sink. Now I wasn't gonna be the one to do it, but hey, it's like the Marlon Wayne special. God must love me. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, if you watch that video of him swinging on Kyle Anderson, notice how all of their teammates.
Nobody goes to him. Nobody holds him back. The only person holding him back is one of the team employees, and then he swings on him like, "You're on your own." Like,
hey, if you peep the video, Torian Prince was about to punch on Rudy, dog.
Did you see the look that Anthony Edwards gave this man?
Rudy.
Did you see the look that Anthony Edwards gave this man? Look, there are a handful of people in the NBA I don't want problems with. Anthony Edwards, in a short time, has become on that list of dudes I don't want problems with in the NBA, and he just gave Rudy Gobert that look. Like, he saw the punch, and he was like, "You?" Like, I know you know the phrase that, and look, if you don't know, you just gonna have to guess. But y'all know the phrase that Anthony Edwards had in his head the second he saw that fist of Rudy Gobert go into Kevin. You know,
looking like,
like, and then the funniest thing was what? You can see Michael Conley on the video, and Mike Conley just looks. He hears the argument. He puts his head in his towel. He sees the punch, and he's like, "Hey!" Like he had a restaurant and a fight broke out. Not like his teammates fighting. He's like, "Hey!"
Mike O, man. He was like, "Man, I'm too old for this shit, dog."
He like, nah. He was like, "Do y'all know I was in the same class as Greg Odom?" Like.
My fight days are over.
Me and Kevin Durant are the same age, dog. Why are y'all doing this around me? See, these young boys. What team he on, the Clippers? No, he not on the Clippers. He on the Timberwolves. Ain't the thing that sucks with Mike Conley, ain't no other old people on that team for him to commiserate with. You know what I mean?
Nope.
He got to call dudes he play against to commiserate with. Bron, you ain't gonna believe what these young boys out here doing. Oh, and then the one dude punched the wall and broke his head.
Hey, Jay McDaniels or Jalen or whichever McDaniels. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? But
somebody said
better on the team.
Somebody said Father Time is undefeated. We all know this, but what you don't know is a close second is fist against walls. The wall is always gonna win.
I couldn't believe it, bro. I'm like, y'all know y'all playing the Lakers next, right? Like y'all playing the Lakers. You down Rudy, you down Nas Reed, now you down McDaniels.
And look, Mike Conley ready to go home. But everybody ready to go home, man. Look, if the Lakers get up by 15 in that game, you know what's about to happen. Everybody's ready to go home because it's about.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's why the Mavericks didn't want to make the playoffs, because they knew what time it was. Everybody was trying to go home. Let them go down by like 6 to well, who would he even play in the play-in? Would it be like it would be like OKC? Let them go down to 6 against OKC or something like that. It's time to go home, man. It's time to go home. Let's go. We got plans, man.
Hey,
Kyrie got books to read.
This Laker game should be over after the second quarter. Like after the second quarter, the Timberwolves should be like, you know what? Let's worry about the next game.
And then the worst thing, look, this is how dysfunctional. I know that we had started with Evan Mobley, and now we talk about the Timberwolves, but this is just hilarious to me. You know how dysfunctional are? We haven't talked about Cat yet. We haven't talked about Cat yet out there, you know, doing cat dances out there. Like who thought? This is how I know people in charge of management sometimes don't know the people who are on their team. They was like, yo, you know who we should put next to Cat's corny ass? Rudy Gobert. Anthony Edwards must be sick of it all.
He can't wait to leave, bro. He cannot wait to leave, bro. First of all, why would
you got all this?
Why would you trade for this man? Like,
they got all these shenanigans going around a dude who decided to play basketball at Georgia. Like, you can't. I promise you, he is tired of it all.
Hey, if Anthony Edwards was in a bigger market, we would talk about him as like one of the future faces of the league. Like he is cold. He's cold, bro. He's cold.
But Toronto, but
Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
The Jazz, like it's so funny that he went from the Jazz to the Timberwolves because look, you could do anything in Siberia and let them, and nobody gonna know. And that's the Jazz and the Timberwolves. Like I don't know, is there another franchise you can add to the list where it don't matter what you do there? It like LeBron could have played in Utah and nobody would have cared. Like it just is one of those two franchises for that. Remember Kevin Love used to put up 40 and 40. Nobody cared. Nobody cared when he was in Minnesota. He take 5 charges in Miami. It trends on Twitter. Like this is just the truth about it. Like just for whatever reason, nobody cares about those two teams specifically. And those are the two teams he's played on. Andrew Wiggins, nobody cared. He's doing the same thing. Well, he did the same stuff in Golden State that he did in Minnesota. Just nobody cared about it in Minnesota. You know what I mean? Jimmy Butler was balling in Minnesota. Nobody cared. It was Minnesota. Like, don't nobody care about nothing that go on in those two teams. I can't understand it, but it's true.
Can we talk about that trade? Because that's the worst trade in NBA. That's the Rudy Gobert trade. That's the worst trade in NBA history.
That might have been. Well, think about it like this. Nobody thought it was a good trade to begin with. Like, I didn't see anybody trying to hot take their way into like, oh, this is a great trade. And then the trade happens. The season happens. And we're like, yo, this is worse. Like, this is worse.
I'll say this. I would rather have Walker Kessler right now over Rudy Gobert.
That's crazy.
I would rather have Walker Kessler right now over Rudy.
Austin Reeves or Rudy Gobert.
Austin Reeves.
It's not even a game. It was
no hesitation. No hesitation. Give me Austin Reeves right now. I'll take Austin Reeves for 50 million, 55, whatever he gonna get over whatever you pay Rudy right now.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Rudy Gobert, the rise and fall. Really, what was the rise though? Like, and then we're just starting to find out. We're starting to find out too. The very unfortunate thing that like he's lucky nobody has really caught on to is, man, Donovan Mitchell got so damn good once he got away from Rudy Gobert. Like he got so much better.
And he immediately said,
and it's not
as soon as he got to Cleveland, you know what he said? He's like, I've never played with bigs who are this dynamic in my career. I'm like, damn, bro, you've been here for 5 minutes.
That's the thing. In normal, you could use the excuse, well, you know, they got the bigs out so to unclog the lane. So, you know, Donovan, of course, he was going to play better. Nah, they got 2 bigs in Cleveland. Like, it's just, they better. Like, both of them are better than Rudy Gobert. So they could just get out the way better. Like, it's just, they consume less energy. He got to be such a better player. And I'm not going to start no Luka slander, but there is a trend similar coming around Luka Doncic. But I'm going to leave that alone until next year. Don't do
that. I still think Luka's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
I ain't ready to Trey Young him yet.
He diet Smush Parker Kobe. Like he diets. That's what he is. He's diet Froby. That's who he is. You know what I mean? Before Kobe figured it out and everything else, he diet Froby. That's who he is. You know, put up some amazing numbers. He can score 81, but he died for me. You know what I mean? Not as good as Kobe, obviously. That's not a shade, but he died for me. You know what I mean? Because what? At least Kobe was getting 500 on them teams. Like,
dragging them teams to 500.
Luka got Kyrie, can't drag him to 5. Like, it just, all right, man. All right. You know?
Hey, Kobe was dragging Chris Mim, Kwame Brown, and Smush Park.
Like the names that Kobe Bryant played with in that era are just hilarious. He didn't even have his boy, what's the dude name of Derek Fisher? He didn't even have Derek Fisher.
D Fish wasn't even there, man. Hey, if Kobe did that now, easily would have been MVP.
Oh yeah,
easily would have been MVP.
It's crazy he only has one. But I'm not even gonna get cold started on Kobe. All right.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. We'll be here all day.
But let me know in the comment section, do you think Evan Mobley should be the MVP or the defensive player of the year? Let me know in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Have a good night.